Okay, y'all, this is going to be a doozy, but it's the whole process that I use for Bogg charms or shoe charms using the clear sublimation acrylic with the white backer versus regular white cast acrylic. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm making the cut file for the acrylic. I've copied my design and put a stroke around it, and you can see that it has kind of a lot of points and jagged edges. So I've rasterized that layer and cleaned it up with the erasers so that it's nice and smooth. Now I'm saving it as a PNG with a transparent background so that I can upload it to SVG trace, make sure it's only one layer, and convert it to an SVG. So I'm going to export that as the SVG so that I can open that in Glowforge directly. Before that, I'm going to jump back over into Photoshop and confirm exactly what size my backer needs to be. And you can see that over here to the left, I have my print size. So I'm just going to check and make sure that this is all lining up. And I just make that backer something easy to remember. So I have it sized to 2.3, well, 2.301, but close enough. So then when I bring that shape that I've just created on SVG Trace into Glowforge, I'm going to size that width to the 2.3 inches. So that gives me my cut file for the larger size for the Bogg charm. And if you want to just print multiple colors at once, you can play around with your hue and saturation or your color balance. I am going to make a blue one. My girls are pink and blue. Those are the favorite colors, so everything's pink and blue up in here. And then I am going to go through the same exact process of sizing everything for some Croc charms. So I have my backer, I have my actual design, so I'm figuring out my print size, and then I am putting that measurement into Glowforge as well. So here I'm just formatting all of my prints. Now the most important thing is that these Croc charms I'm doing with the regular cast acrylic. So I am manually flipping the image because I am going to come in here in my print settings and turn off the mirror image because I don't want it mirrored for the clear sub acrylic. And you'll see why. That's going to print directly through the back and be visible through the clear. So you do not want to mirror that. But since I'm doing both, I have it all how I want it exactly to print. So I'm turning off the mirror, and these are the color settings that I use on my Mac. Both of these actually cut really well on just the white proof grade settings. So I just threw it all in there at once to save some time. And you'll see that here I have the cut of the clear sublimation acrylic. That's just going to lay right on top and show it through. And then these mirrored ones are going to be for the regular white cast acrylic that you'll flip to see the image on the front. Now the clear subacrylic does come with a plastic masking on it, and I leave that on, but I go over it with the blue painter's tape as well because I get a much cleaner cut and I never have issues with any lifting of that white film on the back if I use the painter's tape over it. And you'll see that it's clear. And then here on this back side is the white film that your image will just show directly through. So just look through it while you're lining it up. And when I tape it, I'm actually going to tape it to a piece of paper so that my tape is not wrapping around to the front of the acrylic. And I technically don't have to have parchment under it because of that piece of paper, but I'm a creature of habit, and this is how I normally press things. It's just between the parchment. And you also want to be sure to have something flat and heavy ready because when this comes off this press, we're going to press it for 385 for 55 seconds. And when it comes off, it will be really soft and malleable, and it's not going to just harden up flat on its own. You got to put it under something so that when it cools off and the acrylic hardens again, it's not all warped and curled up. It's not going to be good if you don't put it under something. So then I am going to tape my regular cast acrylic to my designs that are mirrored. So I'm flipping this to line up with that. And I just hold it up to the light so that I can see how things are lining up and get that taped. Put it between some parchment paper. And I'm using the HTV round autopress, and I just make sure that I have it as centered as possible when I put it in. The regular cast acrylic is going to press for 60 seconds at 400 degrees. But here is how the sublimation acrylic came out. So you can see that the image is printed on this white side, but you see it through the clear. So it gives some added depth to your design, which is kind of fun. Now I am taking out the regular white cast for the Croc charms, putting them under something heavy again, and then once it's cooled, we can take it off. I use the Hiipoo sublimation paper on acrylic, and it actually does not normally have this much residue when I'm done, but that's okay. We will take them over to the sink and get them cleaned up. All you need to do from here is rub them with some dish soap, and that paper residue will start coming right off. Then after a quick rinse, you should have a great finished product. And here is a side-by-side of everything cleaned up so that you can see what makes that clear sublimation acrylic different than regular cast.